Hi, you guys. This is Tyler back with another series or another episode from our Mompreneur series. And we're definitely, of course, like always, talking to moms who are entrepreneurs who have children of special needs. So today, our special guest is Alicia, and she is back again. We're going to have another conversation. This week, we're going to be talking about girls with autism and also just the journey of really accepting autism. And she was on an episode from last week. So if you guys didn't catch that one, pause this episode, go watch that one, then come back. Make sure you come back. Okay? Make sure you come back. Have Alicia, if you want to give your business name again.
It is Belsaya Naturals. It's an all natural skincare line. We service from head to toe on all social media platforms.
Okay, awesome. So, of course, we're going to start with we're going to do our check-in first. So, how have you been this summer so far?
It's been kind of, yeah. They're
I'm
out of
miserable.
school. Yes, they're out of school. I'm counting down. Like, you need to get back into school. 'Cause with her, she loves schedule. So, schedule's not like it used to be, and so it's like bam, 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 bam.
Exactly. I know how that is because my kid, he loves a schedule, he loves a routine. And your daughter is actually in public school.
She's in public school.
Okay. What do you do for work, if you don't mind me asking?
No, that's fine. I'm a parent educator. I pretty much parent other parents. Some of them are at-risk parents who are either in the system with DSS or just going back to get their GED. Our program will help them get back on their feet. We provide them with resources in the community to help them get back on their feet, whether it was drugs, whether it was housing issues. Some we do deal with some special needs families, getting them on the therapy train.
Yeah.
Getting them back on the therapy train. So I just do a little bit of everything for the community, especially at-risk moms or just young moms. Let me see, well, that's at-risk too. And just moms in general. I deal with families.
Nice. I think we did it, y'all. And I done skipped over the icebreaker, so I feel like we broke the ice.
We
was
did.
rolling today.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and ask them anyway, just to kind of wrap things up. Parenting, what is something that your parents told you like a lot growing up that you wish it don't even have to be based around parents, it could be based around anything, but what's some advice that your parents gave you that you wish you would have listened to?
Don't be quick to grow up. Just live your
Ooh,
life.
that's a big one.
Just enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Live it. Go to college. Don't be focusing on the wrong things is what I did. But now I'm like, I wish I would have listened.
Girl.
Because I don't know where I would have been. I became a young mom at like 18. I had my first child. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't regret it. I do not regret it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Mama was right. I really could have just lived
Right.
later. And now I'm trying to tell my daughter, live your life.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do. Go to school. Just
Yeah.
enjoy it. Travel. See the world. And when you're
Girl.
ready, don't.
Yeah.
You'll be ready. And not saying married and saying, oh, I wish I would have traveled. I wish I would have did this more as a single one. Now it's too late. Just try. It's not too late. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
Now I wish I would listen to my mom.
Girl.
Just live my life and just enjoy it.
That made me want to change my answer. Wait a minute. I want to hear more about like your journey what makes you think that your child that something was different or
I think it was just like a switch just flipped. Maybe around she had her 18-month appointment, and between the months of 18 months to 24 months, her level of communication decreased. Like it went down drastically. Her behavior started to change. She loves people, but I start seeing her running and hiding when people come to visit.
Gotcha.
I would see her starting to try to bang her head. I could see her being picky with her food, her textures. She would eat everything, and it went down to hardly anything. And I was like, between that span of 18 months to 24 months, something is wrong, especially when she stopped talking. But I started thinking, oh, we're spoiling her. She has an older sister. We're talking for her. We're making decisions for her. We're not giving her that space. I blamed myself. I was like, we're just spoiling her too much. But it was something else going on.
That's why I was going to ask you if you had any other kids too. Okay, so just one older sister. What's the age, like the gap?
It's 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So And that's like a pretty drastic change between 18 and that short time frame. Did you have any issues like communicating that with your doctor, or did they? So it was something.
Our doctor, I think during that time period, I needed, listen, I was crying all the time. I didn't know what was going on. And she was just like, when she looked at her for that 20 minutes, it took her, oh, Mom, it looks like it's autism. And she patted me on the shoulder and she left the room. She was just like, we'll get you connected to the resources that you need. And it was kind of like, so that's it, And I just was still trying to process that. And going to these therapy offices, they're not going to sit down and talk to you about this is what's going on. Right. These assessments, we'll tell you this is the assessment we're doing, but that's it. Like, I felt lost. Like, I was just passed from people that were from person to person, facility to facility, and I was still like, well, what's going on?
Because how old is your daughter?
She's 12.
And I know all this stuff, y'all. I'm just asking so y'all, she could tell y'all. But so, and that's the thing too. Two things. A lot of this autism stuff is like really new. Like, I want to say the 80s is when it started kind of like going up in numbers as far as diagnosis and things like that. So I could see how, 10, 11 years ago, how that could have been a struggle too. Do you think, in your opinion, what would you say that was something that could have been linked to her diagnosis?
I want to be that mom. But I have a feeling from what I observed, because I had a typical child. Took all the typical shots and everything that was, but with her it was different. And we visited this holistic, I guess you could say, this doctor in Atlanta, trying to get answers again. Right. And she linked a lot to the poisons of the shots. And different DNA, different, what did she say? Some different markers that you have to pay attention to.
Genetics.
Genetics. She was just like, in this case, she was just telling us that I would have wanted to do a thorough exam of you, Mom, your history, Dad's history, and then we take a method of how we would handle the shot. But for me, that was after the fact. This was right, of course. But I wish I would have knew that before. And so when I got the knowledge from her, I slowed down on the shots. But long story short, I have some beliefs that I think that may trigger. Some people may say no. Yeah. But for me,
they say studies show that it's not. So we ain't no doctors. No. But I could listen. It's the same story. My son was probably I first started noticing differences around, let's say, about 18 to 24 months. He pretty much always kind of had speech delay. Like, he was talking, but it wasn't progressing like it should have been. But everything else was just fine. And same, I thought I was just spoiling him and, doing a lot of talking for him or whatnot. Just basically making him a mama's boy. So that's what I thought that was. So it didn't really send no super big red signs for me at first. And then he stopped responding to his name. And I remember for the longest, I was trying to get him to say his own name. That's when I was like, okay, we've been working on this for a while. And that's what really was like, nah, something not. And then once I noticed that, and I want to say too, because I actually saw this on TikTok, but around that same time, I started letting my son watch cartoons. Before that, I never let him watch just anything on TV. It'll be mostly like educational stuff, nothing too crazy. But somebody actually put up that they thought that the how did they word it? Basically, like the sensory type of the colors and stuff, it could kind of because they say when you let them have an iPad and stuff, that causes them to have seizures and stuff. So it's kind of have that kind of connection. So I found that funny how right after I started letting him watch TV, that's when everything else started to decline. But then also when we would go for his regular routine vaccinations, my son would always get sick right after. Always. And not just like, they tell you may experience these type of symptoms, but it'll be full blown sickness. So I'm just like, okay. But then what I what I also thought too, or what I do think, I think it's more so in the food versus everything else. It's like certain people can tolerate our food, but everybody's not the same. And it's just all kind of poison that we're being that we're putting in our body. But I agree. I definitely agree. It's something to where the numbers just keep going up and up.
It's
and
one
up.
out of every 36 now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember one out of 168 or one. It was up there.
Yeah.
And now, even 10 years ago, it was one out of every 68 children. So that's when I figured it out. And then now it's one out of every 36.
So when she was first diagnosed, she went down a deep hole of doing all the
Yes.
research. Child.
I thought I was a scientist when I got there. You couldn't tell me anything.
Yes.
Okay, I was connecting the dots, trying to figure it out. And some people thought, okay, it's not that serious. Yeah, it is if you want to know
exactly
what's going on.
Exactly.
And then with her being nonverbal, I really felt like I had to dig deeper. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, what is she feeling? Why does she act this way when we go here?
Yeah.
And I was trying to look for a voice for her. Because there's some
Right.
autistic children who can speak.
Right.
And they're able to describe, okay, when we go and we put our hands over our ears, it's because of this.
Like
I was like, oh, that's why she's.
I did the same thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't know. She wasn't. I was like, what is it? She was looking at me like, I can't tell you right now.
Yeah.
So I just went down that deep hole.
Because that's the thing too. Like the high functioning people who are on the spectrum, they still get those same like anxiety or overwhelming feeling, and they still have to teach themselves how to like those coping mechanisms to feel overwhelmed. Because that's the thing too for me. Like once it seemed like once I noticed one thing, everything just came out to where I'm like, wait a minute, like slow down. So then you kind of feel like, or at least for me, I'll just speak for myself. It's like, dang, do I know what I'm doing? What am I doing here? So I would say for me, going through that experience, it definitely made me, because the way I was raised, my daddy didn't want me to depend on nobody. He was all like, don't wait on no man, don't depend on no man, which I think kind of messed me up too in other ways. But I was always the type to where I'm gonna plan something out. I'm gonna make sure whatever it is that I'm trying to, whatever the goal is, I'm gonna reach it on my own for the most part. I never like asking for help. So I think then that definitely made me like, all right, we got to get some answers. I'm gonna have to. I started talking to any and everybody about this thing. Like somebody gonna help me.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but at that same time, so did they have early intervention when you were?
They did. They had just started ABA therapy, and they really recommended that amongst.
Yeah.
I felt like I was clocking in every day.
Do you mind telling all what therapies she has? Maybe back then and now?
Okay. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, and it was ABA therapy. She did do some food therapy. Food was in there too.
Okay.
To help her with textures and things. So we did about a total of 4 therapies.
Okay. And well, I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, y'all know what ABA therapy is, but that's applied behavior analysis. And how, you don't have to tell us how many hours it was, but
at one point it was almost 30.
Yeah,
it was about 30.
Yeah, that's what my son was. My son is on 30 now. So that's the thing too, like trying to, I don't know how we work and have special need kids are expensive. Then you can't work like you need to work to be able to. So I would say too, just with you kind of realize all the lack of resources that is out there. And it's just so frustrating because it's so many things that these kids need because they could do it. It's just not. How am I supposed to be able to work 40 hours and they need full-time work too? Like, it's just crazy because like with my regular child or typical child, you know, if they start to fall behind in school or something like that, I could just get a tutor.
Yes, that's right.
That ain't so easy for kids with special needs. So this whole journey just made me realize that it's a lot of lack in resources and things that they need. So I was actually back to because I do want to talk a little bit more about girls with autism, but I just preparing for what we was going to talk about today, I started looking up stuff. There's actually a lot of articles and things on the news where there's a gap. It's harder for women to be or girls to be diagnosed with autism. And I know you didn't have that experience, but I kind of wonder why that is. I understand why, boys are, because I think the statistics was that they're diagnosed four times higher of a rate than girls are. But there's one specific news article. She was talking about her 4-year-old daughter. Although she was verbal, she was having the same behavior problems, tantrums, meltdowns, running away from people, stimming, but it was just so much harder for her to get that diagnosis. Have you talked to any other parents that had that same story with? Do you know any other parents that have daughters with autism?
I'm thinking this is kind of sad, but the community is what it is.
Yeah.
The only time I had time to really interact was during therapy.
Mm-hmm.
When she would go back, I could talk to other parents about it.
Yeah.
As of recently, more parents in her classroom have been more open to reach out.
Okay.
But before, when her diagnosis hit, it was like the only place I felt safe was in the therapy office. Because everybody understood. I didn't have to say, excuse her, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, that's okay, we understand.
Right.
But as in talking to, I didn't have that pleasure to really do that. I think everybody's in fight or flight mode.
I'm trying to tell you.
As special needs, like I gotta get this done. We're always that. I never have time to relax and say, so tell me about your child. So this is really the first platform I've really been able to talk about and learn.
That I'm hoping that's the whole point. Like at least that's one of them. So as she's gotten older, have you seen more of? Because the thing is, autism awareness and just it's already hard when you have a young child and you taking them out. Toddlers and young kids, they have their own emotions and they're not scared to share them. So it's already hard enough for that. But have you seen a change in like anytime you guys go out that it's a little easier? People are more understanding.
I think so, and maybe that's because really when I look around, I'm able to spot the difference in children, and I see the parents how they function. I'm like, okay, we're cool.
Yeah,
but it's more of acceptance now.
Right.
It's more about understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've had people walk up, is this too much for you? Do you need to go over here? You can go in. That wasn't the case then, but I guess because the numbers are so much higher, that
people are becoming aware of it. Yeah, that. Mm-hmm. And listen, I think that for me, how can I word this? So I've always been the type like your kid acting out too. So don't be coming over here and giving me no looks. You all right.
Yeah.
As long as he don't touch you, then we have a right to be here too. And I dare you to say something.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of taken that approach because we do did you have issues with like taking her out? Was she?
Yeah, well, she's had some behaviors, but the stares I get are the older crowd. Maybe
I can see that.
They get
see that.
The older crowd is like, if you don't get her, why is she doing that? In my day, they got a spanking for that. I'm like,
exactly.
But this is different, right?
Right.
And so yeah.
I totally agree with that because it seems like younger people they understand.
Yeah.
When I was in high school and middle school, I never had any contact with anybody of special needs at all. So this whole experience for me was like totally new. So, but I see now it's a lot of younger kids are more aware, they're more open, they're more willing to help, all kinds of stuff. So I can definitely see that. But yeah, so back to what I was originally saying, like I wanted to be able to, you got to take them out more in order for them to get used to it. And so the more you do it, the better it gets. So I kind of just try to keep that mindset with the whole thing because my kid gonna come with me now. We ain't got no choice, and I got to do what I got to do. Parents with kids of autism, the main things is like their diet or sensory type of things. They're like for her hair, for example. How was that? How was that process for you? Like, or how did she take to getting her hair done?
Okay, so she's recently locked. She'll be locked a year in November.
Ooh.
A lot easier. She I thought it was gonna be terrible, but I transitioned her at home, like, back in the day, you lay on this sink, we're gonna get you the sink, the kitchen sink.
Right.
And she got adjusted to holding her head back. So that helped her when she went to hold her head back to get her washed in the salon. And then I'm quick with what I have to do.
Yes.
She's quick.
Okay.
Like, I knew my options were running thin. She was getting older. I didn't want her to be in pigtails and ponytails at 12.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's figure out how we could do this. And I felt that this lady, her process was super quick. Bella in and out of there. It's got to be less than an hour, because I could not do braids. Braids not an option. 6, 8, 10, 12, it was just not an option.
Yeah.
So she's quick. We take a weighted blanket. We're done.
Oh, nice.
So it ended up, the transition was easy.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. How was it when you're communicating with the hairdresser? I'm assuming that you let her know that, this is who my daughter is, and she has autism. Did you find her because she's done other girls before so you just kind of communicated everything with her? And
yeah.
Okay.
I had to reach out to her and say, look, this is what we got going on. This is what I need. If you can't do it, that's okay.
Yeah.
I was already prepared. I'm probably going to have to come to Greenville. I thought worst case scenario, Charlotte, which I didn't want to, but it's just not common. And she's like, no, bring her in here. I got her. I'll make her appointment at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day before I get started with anyone else. She'll be in there by herself.
Yeah.
And she had the big screen TV, so she's able to find whatever she wants to watch. So it made it a lot more. I was more at ease. She didn't say absolutely no. Shout out to Lavanya, Lord, heavy hands. Thank you. Yeah, she just knows what she's doing, and I feel comfortable. I could literally leave her there, and Bella will be all right.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's hard to find.
Yes, that's a blessing.